Hello everyone, Lex here, a solution architect here with Bitrise, and today we're going to go ahead and go over a pretty standard and simple setup of how to get Build Cache set up specifically for Xcode projects, as well as how to validate that it has been set up correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through. Specifically, I have my workspace here, and I'm going to be looking at the Outrun project here. This is an iOS open source application that I have here, where I've actually already run a couple builds. Particularly, I'm looking at the compilation or the building that happens while I'm running some of my tests and creating my test bundle. So I have the Xcode test for iOS step running here. And I have it running on the latest Xcode 26.2 stack from Bitrise. And Xcode 26 happens to be a requirement here for the Xcode Build Cache. We also have Gradle and Bazel, but this one in particular has that dependency on it. This is running without any build cache, so I'm going to go ahead and navigate you to how to set that up. This can be done a couple different ways. However, we have the build cache tab as part of our platform here, where you would be able to review your invocations and hit rates, as well as other information that's available to you. As you can see, I don't have anything set up just yet. So when I go to set up a new connection, I go ahead and select that, I am using as part of the platform, the Bitrise CI tool. So the build tool that we're going to select is Xcode. And it does warn you that Xcode 26 is required. I'm going to go ahead and continue. And I'm going to go ahead and select my project. So in this case, it's the Outrun app. Going to continue, and here you're given a set of steps that we recommend that you go through, or you actually would need to go through it to do the setup. So I would select the workflow in the editor, so I can go ahead and navigate to that project. But let's see what else is asking of us. So we're going to go ahead and add the activate build cache for Xcode step to the workflow before the step that you want to speed up. So anything really that you would want to go ahead and do any sort of compilation given the Xcode commands, Xcode build commands, you would want to go ahead and add that beforehand. You want to select Xcode 26 as your stack, and you want to save your changes. So let's go ahead and navigate to that. That should have created a different tab. Let's take a look here. Let's go to the workflows. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, we do have, if I go for run test, we do have the Xcode 26 stack selected. Some of my other workflows are still on Xcode 16, so I would need to make sure to upgrade those. But this is where you would go ahead and make this change. So you have the stack. And then this is my Xcode test for iOS step. It's already configured to run properly with the given settings. So I'm going to go ahead and... Actually, much simpler. Just going to look for Xcode cache. Okay, build cache for Xcode. The parameter that we showcased on the prior step is actually the full name of the step if you wanted to configure this in YAML. But since we have the workflow editor, we're just going to go ahead and add it here. As you can see, this is pretty plug and play, so a lot of the default values are already filled in for you. So I'm going to go ahead and save those changes. I once again already know that it's on Xcode 26, and I am going to navigate back to this page. So I've gone ahead and completed these steps. I'm going to go ahead and select next. It does tell you that you want to go ahead and warm up the cache, so you're going to run the workflow that you configured the step with, and then you're going to be able to check the cache history at that point, and we make a recommendation that you build at least 2 to 3 times so that the cache gets populated correctly, and then it can be reused in subsequent builds. So I'm going to go ahead. I actually have already ran some builds, but not with the step, so I am going to navigate back again, and I'm going to go ahead and run this. All right, that's going to go ahead and warm up the cache. And when we go back to the other step, check cache history on the build cache. We want to go ahead and finish this, but I'm going to go ahead and continue just so that we can validate how this has been set up. So now, if I go to my dashboard, I'll have the build in progress. Gonna wait and see. This is just doing my CocoaPods. After it does this, it's gonna go to the step that we're looking out for, the activate build cache for Xcode. Here we go. So you see that this is the correct ID, and in the logging itself, not only does the step succeed, but you get this piece of information in the log where it tells you that the build cache was activated. So that is a confirmation that you've gone ahead and at the step correctly. You do already have, in my case, I have a trial activated that is enabling me to make the selection, and that is something that you can achieve here on the build cache. And then what it's going to do is this very first build is going to go ahead and start hydrating or populating the cache archive so that on the subsequent builds, you actually can take advantage of the speed benefits. But this is ideally how you go about setting this up and validating that the build cache is activated. Once the first couple builds are starting to run, then you'll start to be able to see and monitor the build cache results in this area. So you can see that I've already had a invocation count of 1. That is equivalent to the command that is leveraging the build cache, or in this case, just saving it. But there's no hit rate yet, and that's because there's no subsequent build just as of yet to be able to actually pull from the cache. But once you run a couple more times, you'll start seeing the numbers populated there. That was it, guys. That is how to set up and configure build cache for Xcode specifically, and how to validate that you basically did all the steps correctly. As you can see, the UI walks you through it. You have to navigate to certain areas, but everything is linked for you to navigate and then get back to finalizing the configuration. Thank you, everyone.